I was tasked with figuring out how many Lincoln Logs would be needed to build a 2-scale model of the Empire State Building. So first, let's talk about what we do and don't know. We're giving the length and the width of the Empire State Building's base, and we're also given the height of the Empire State Building up to the last floor. Then we're also given the height of the antenna. What we're not given is the change in dimension as the building rises, which is really important. Because I couldn't determine the change in the dimensions, I decided a rectangular prism with the same dimensions given would determine the at most amount of Lincoln Logs required. So let's get started with our design. So I chose to use the Lincoln Logs as intended and developed an interlocking pattern that could be extended to the width and length of the Empire State Building. Each one of these sides is treated as one piece of the larger wall. The pattern that each piece follows begins at this end log over here, which means that this log is the beginning of the next pattern. Additionally, both end pieces are placeholders for the larger Lincoln Logs that you will see in the center here. And each repeated pattern would be locked together using the small Lincoln Logs, which you can see here. Therefore, each piece of the wall would consist of 3 large Lincoln Logs and 3 small Lincoln Logs. The total length of one pattern would be 13.625 inches, and the total height is going to be 2.625 inches. So now that we have our pattern, let's see how many patterns it would take to build the Empire State Building, and then we can determine how many logs would be required. Because our patterns were measured in inches, we're going to convert the dimensions of the Empire State Building into inches as well. So beginning with the length, we're going to multiply that by 12 inches, and that's going to give us 5,088 inches. We'll then divide that by the length of our pattern, and it shows that we need 374 patterns to stretch the length of the Empire State Building. Similarly, with the width, we're going to multiply that by inches, and it's going to give us 2,244 inches. We'll then also divide that by the length of our pattern, and it shows that we need 165 patterns to stretch the width of the Empire State Building. Finally, for the height, which we've also converted to inches, we're going to divide that by the total height of one pattern, which is 2.625 inches. And we'll see that we need 5,715 patterns to reach the height of the Empire State Building. Next, using the formula for volume, length times width times height, we can see how many patterns would be needed to fill the entire volume of the Empire State Building, which comes out to 352,672,650 patterns. Now, if you remember from earlier, our patterns consisted of 3 large logs and 3 small logs. So if we want to convert that into total number of logs, we'll just multiply that by 3, and it'll show us that we need 1,058,017,950 large logs and small logs to fill the entire volume of the Empire State Building. But we're not quite done. If you remember, the height of the antenna was 204 feet, and we're going to convert that to inches as well, and we'll see that the antenna is 2,448 inches tall. Now, if you take one of the large Lincoln Logs and stand them straight up like this, their length, or their height, would be 7.625 inches. So if we divide the height of the antenna by the height of the Lincoln Log, you'll see that we need 322 large logs to reach the height of the antenna. Now, if you take the number of logs needed to make the antenna and add that to the number of logs needed to make the building, you'll see that we need a total of 1,058,018,272 large logs and a total of 1,058,017,950 small logs. And that's going to give us a grand total of 2,116,036,222 logs needed to fill the entire volume of the Empire State Building. But remember, this is going to have a lot of extra logs because we weren't able to calculate the change in dimension as the tower rises. So this is going to give us a grand total of how many logs you would need to make a rectangular prism of the same size as the dimensions given for the Empire State Building. Also, this isn't going to be very sturdy, so I would highly recommend using some old-fashioned Gorilla Glue.